and we are so honored and blessed to have Miss Lisa Barnes here tonight, who is head of research and development with LifeVantage. Can we just all in the chat give her a huge round of applause for everything that she has done? The hours, you guys, she has not slept, I don't think, slept in over a year, truly. I know especially these past months she has not, and she is just a woman. When we text her, when we need anything, she responds, she answers, she's genius, she cares. And those of you that saw the launch of this product and live, put in the chat what you thought of Lisa's incredible training on it and her conviction and excitement, and not only all of that, but just looked so beautiful and stunning. So real quick, I just want to let you know a little bit more about Lisa if you're not aware. Lisa is, like I said, the Vice President of Research and Development and Regulatory at LifeVantage. She's highly skilled product development scientist with more than 16 years, you guys, in personal care, nutrition, beauty, device industries. She has her bachelor's in biology and chemistry and has been developing products since she was a junior in college. She spent almost 10 years on the bench formulating personal care products such as sunscreens, lotions, mouthwashes, pain-relieving creams, which led to multiple patents before coming to Utah in 2017. So I just have to pause there for 1 second. Lisa, before I finish this, can you just say what, in regards to getting a patent, the words that you said from stage, because if you all heard, our GLP-1 activation mind-body system is now patent pending, same as our activated liquid collagen and Protandim NRF2 in synergy together. So what does, and then I'll finish this, I just don't want to forget, to get a patent, can you explain that real quick, please?
Yes. So it's a pretty intense process. You have to show that what you've developed is new and novel. And you also have to show that it's non-obvious. So if you put two things together or put ingredients together and it has an intended effect, then it's obvious and you can't patent it because anybody could do it. So you really have to show that you've done something extraordinary or something incredibly unique. And then it takes a whole lot of writing and a lot of presentation of the data to be able to support for it. And so Dr. Christina Beer on my team put in the work. She put in days and nights of writing the bulk of this patent. She locked herself up and wrote it, and she was phenomenal to make sure that we hit our deadline of being patent pending prior to being on stage on Friday. But the thing to remember is novel, non-obvious, and it's a process.
What do you guys think of that? That is powerful and beautiful in regards to what we have. And just thank you for your vision and just all knowing of the importance of all of that as well. I will just tell you too, she is a beautiful, beautiful mother and cares deeply about her children. She lives in Draper. Is it Draper? Am I saying that right? Utah, with her husband, Jonathan, and her 3 daughters. Is it Elena?
So it's Alana, Jaina, and Bria.
There, oh, so beautiful. And 3 dogs, cat, tortoise, hamster, plenty of fish. I love it. In her free time, she loves running and just bringing her kids around to dance classes and watching her Star Wars movies and TV show. That's really, so we empathize, or not empathize, we talk to each other about our girls dancing often. And it's super fun because we relate with each other a lot in those areas. So Lisa, we cannot thank you enough. For those of you that are just joining, I just want to share with you, or you're watching live, I asked right before we got on here, what are some of the things, because some of the people here are just starting on day 1 and day 2. And I think it's fascinating because I know what I experienced and Sean experienced and some of our friends, but now that there's so many of us experiencing things, continue to put it in the chat and I'll read some of these things. But day 1, energy, clarity, no hangry, more focused. Day 2, not hungry and mind clarity, feel full faster, brain calm, energy, not snacking all the time. Day 1, more energy. Jen Dykstra said, I got a ton done today in caps. Energy, not hungry. What else? I hate cleaning, they said, and I tackled 2 rooms. It's a go, go, go state of mind. Alex said, I have a sense of calm. You remember, you guys, when I shared with you that I had a major stressful week that I hadn't had in I don't know how many years, and how I caught myself and felt calm. And I'm like, oh my gosh, I really think this is because of this product, because I should be really freaking out right now. Just not as hungry. I'm not as hungry. My sleep has been amazing. Tammy said, Jessica said she slept great at night. Marisa said she had a salad and felt full until dinner time. So just comment after comment. So if you guys are noticing anything, please continue to put those in the comments and see what others are there to look for. And I will just tell you again, please over document everything from pictures to measurements to how you're feeling in every aspect, because you cannot go backwards at all. So let's have me just stop talking, because she is the star of the show. Let's put a round of applause for Miss Lisa. She's going to fill us in on all things mind body GLP-1 activation. So Lisa, thank you so much for taking the time, 7:30 Central at night after you haven't slept and had a huge launch this weekend. So thank you.
You are very welcome. I'm still riding the high of launch, but probably after this, I will go crash and just curl up in my couch and cuddle with my dogs and my children. Because my teenager girls are in that stage where they just like to be as close to me as humanly possible. So I just don't have a sense of personal space anymore, which I will take. I know it'll go away soon enough.
Yes.
Let's spend a few minutes just diving into this amazing product launch that my team's been working on for over a year. It was such a relief for this weekend to come, because we've been just keeping this secret. Like, we've been diving into the research, choosing ingredients, performing studies, and it's been one thing after another, and we've barely been able to let anybody into our circle of trust. And so it's been such a relief to not worry about accidentally spilling the product name or any of our clinical results or anything that would ruin the amazing surprise that we had at our Market Connect event. So now we can talk freely, and that's why I'm glad that I'm on tonight and not a week ago. So let me go ahead and I will share my slides and we'll jump through. Okay, let's close out with this. Should be seeing slides.
Perfect. We got you.
Perfect. So first, what we got to start out with is, what is GLP-1? Because it's all over the name of the product. What is it? We've heard it as a buzzword everywhere. I talked about on stage. You literally just whisper it into your phone, and all of your ads will be GLP-1 focused for the foreseeable future. I even was just talking about it more yesterday, and I started even getting more targeted ads. It's just the buzz right now. But it is a serious part of our health. It's not just something that is a buzzword or trendy. It's something we do need to address. And it's a hormone produced in the gut, as you can see. It's going to regulate appetite and blood sugar levels. It's going to promote those feelings of fullness and satiety, and it will actually slow down the rate at which food leaves the stomach, just in a way that keeps you fuller longer, instead of it just passing through so quickly. It's when that becomes extreme that there ends up being side effects, but we can talk about that in a little bit. It's produced in that lower GI tract, which is incredibly important for our formulation, and it communicates with the brain. So it's that gut-brain axis that is so important. And so when you have it at ideal levels, we're less likely to overeat or succumb to cravings. So when everything's in balance, the food noise is quieted, you're able to make all of the decisions like you guys have been discussing in the chat, because you're no longer controlled by food. You are in control. And that was an incredibly important part of us developing the system, which I'll get to in a few minutes, because it's a different approach to weight loss and health. So beyond just weight loss, because that's where people mostly hear the buzz, is around weight loss, because people heard of some options that people were taking, a lot of celebrities, they saw the results. And so they've linked it specifically with weight loss, but there's so many whole body benefits of GLP-1. So you have, it's helping with a sustained and balanced glucose response. So it's one of its primary functions. And this next one's incredibly exciting to me, because it's supporting the health of all these essential organs: your heart, your liver, your kidneys, your fat tissue, pancreas, and skeletal muscles. All of these it's involved in. And so if it's out of balance, it's going to throw all those systems out of balance as well. And then it not only does that, it has it has a supporting of brain and nerve health. So it's actually neuroprotective because it's a potent antioxidant. So even before I talk about the product, you can see why it's not just limited to a group of people who want to lose weight that need this hormone imbalance. It goes so far beyond that to everyone who has organs in their body. And also, it gives a hint to why you do not want this to be just short-term activation that only lasts as long as your weight loss. Because you need these benefits, you need to protect your brain, you need to protect your heart, you need to support the health of all of these organs throughout your entire life. It's not just a short-term benefit that we're looking for, we're thinking long-term, and that's how LifeVantage thinks. We never try to look at band-aid approaches to any health issues, because that's what other brands do, that's what supplements do, but we are the activation company, so we go to the source for longer-term solutions. So then moving on, because you can kind of see now it's holistic in its effects, how is it lowered? You have age, you have stress, you have diet. Our food doesn't have the same nutrition that it used to have, sedentary lifestyle, and also obesity as well. So as you gain weight, it's kind of this vicious cycle where everything continues to be lowered and you get these increased cravings, and it just keeps kind of pushing you down this hole further and further, and you feel less and less out of control. And you've really been told all of your life that it's your fault, a lot of us, that you don't have strong enough willpower, that if you just tried hard enough, you could avoid the cravings, you could walk past whatever is on the snack table, that you could lose the weight. But so many of us have felt the shame, but not been able to have the results because it is biological. There's a biological reason for these cravings, for this disbalance, this imbalance that we are seeing, which is so important because we're not here to talk about shame. And that's incredibly important to me. Because if one of the things we've talked a little bit about my bio, but one thing that's not included in there is that when I was a 14-year-old girl in the middle of puberty, dealing with all of life, I had an incredibly horrible eating disorder because I was surrounded by all this toxicity that is around our culture. And I had a little bit of weight because I was about to hit puberty. I was growing. I was doing everything a normal teenage girl should be doing. But everything around me was telling me that it was all my fault for how I looked and that I would never be successful. No one would ever love me because of how I looked. So I tried to take control into my own hands in a very negative way. And honestly, I almost died from it. And so my goal as we approach this is to ensure that we are talking about health in the right way, and it is not shame-based. Because as Michelle mentioned, I have 3 girls, 2 are teenagers, they're 13-year-old twins, and 1 is 12 years old. They do not need to hear these toxic messages that we grew up with. They need to hear their weight and everything surrounding it talked about as health. Because I even had for my youngest daughter, we had a pediatrician appointment, and her pediatrician compared her to her sisters who are taller and a different body build because they take after my husband. They were told they were normal. She was told that she needed blood work and she wasn't normal. Even when I told him that that's a normal growth pattern for my family and that she was just going to shoot up, he shamed her, and the next day she tried to not eat. And so words matter. And so it is incredibly important as we approach this launch that it's not shame-based. So sorry, I had to get some of the emotion out of the way before I get into the science because I am incredibly passionate. Michelle, you can feel the mom heart. If we were not going to talk about this appropriately, I did not want to be a part of it if we didn't build the right product. And so now that you know how passionate I am about this product, you know that we made sure that we did this the right way. And that is through our activation approach.
Can we just, again, give gratitude to Lisa that number 1 is a reminder for all of us, I got chills, to remember that your story matters. And when you open up to your vulnerability through life and through your journeys of all of it, and it can be in all elements, you are opening up the gift of hope, of trust, of a safe place with others, and to know that we have people that are working within our company, not just to create products, but to create products that are going to impact lives completely and fully. And it is about being strong with your health, with your cellular health, with your mind, with your energy, and with your support and with your community. So just knowing that you have the backing of that, you guys, is so, so beautiful. So sorry to interrupt. I just thank
You're
you for
fine.
sharing that, because sometimes we forget, right? People that are out doing and creating and all that, these people are working hard, but they have stories of why they do what they do. And so
Very
we're just grateful that you're bringing your deep why to impact the world with us regarding that.
exactly. And part of that is to say why this kind of product made sense for LifeVantage, because there was a fear at the beginning that we were just becoming another weight loss company. We were just going to approach it like everyone else. And so just to kind of put that fear to rest, we came at it from a health perspective, from going to the source to address health concerns, just like we do because we are that activation company. And we know that there are other approaches to GLP-1. We have our synthetic options, and they were developed for very specific conditions. And one thing I don't want to do is shame anyone who has to be on these for health reasons. They were developed for a purpose, but because of their prolonged mechanism of action, they can cause a lot of very unpleasant side effects. And so if you don't particularly need a synthetic option, that's where natural activation comes in. And natural activation also comes alongside as people want to potentially reduce synthetic options over time in the care of their doctor and they want to transition to something more natural. It's a perfect tool to as they continue to grow in their health journey. So there's the synthetic options, which a lot of people for the longest time thought were the only options. They were all scrambling for them, even though they did not need them. And then there are other activators. They're the ones that are popping up on your phone now that you've heard GLP-1 whispered. There are a lot of products that are relabeled to have GLP-1 in the name, but they weren't actually formulated to do this. There's ingredients at lower than clinically efficacious dosages. Believe me, we've looked at everything that's out there. We have a huge spreadsheet of hundreds of different products that have GLP mentioned in some sort of way, and we've looked deeply into all of them. We see no clinical studies. So they'll maybe tout that an ingredient was studied or has some data, but they never look at their entire formula to show what it does in synergy. And when you put ingredients together, they will either work better or work worse together. And if you don't test them, you don't know. And so there's that just unknown with products where they just put in ingredients and try to make claims just based on that because you don't know how the delivery form affects it. And then we see a lot with complicated usage instructions. So they're saying, okay, take 2 capsules before breakfast, 2 before lunch, and 2 before dinner. And then maybe you increase some here, maybe you decrease here. It changes all the time based on your experience. Or you say, oh, it's part of this 6-product system, and you'll replace this meal with this and this with this, and it's just so, it takes over your life. And I'm Southern, and everything we do as a family is surrounded by food. It's like centered around food. And if you are not eating with your family, then you are isolated. So if you're coming to your little family gathering and you have to sit in the corner with your little protein shake while everyone else is eating dinner together, you don't feel part of community. Like you were saying earlier, Michelle, that community is so important. And so a lot of the options we're seeing out there are making this diet system take control over the person instead of the person being in control. And it was incredibly important to us as we created our option that it would fit within your regimen already so that you can still have these moments of community with your family, with your friends. You can still enjoy food, but you can make better decisions. You can choose to eat less. Maybe your body is just craving better food. So you're not being deprived, you're just craving the right things because all of the signals between your gut and brain are now more in balance. And so you're approaching food the way you were intended to. And that's the approach we wanted to take instead of just giving you something else that was non-sustainable, that would just take over your life. And so then that takes us to our solution, which is our mind-body GLP-1 system. And it is so like relieving to be able to say that name and show all the colors. And I'm repping our lavender. My wardrobe has so much more lavender and dark green in it with this launch. We've been celebrating for a while here at the office, wearing all our different colors. And this brings our activation approach to GLP-1, natural GLP-1 activation. So I want to cover real quick what the benefits are, and then we'll go even deeper. So this is some of the benefits you'll see when you visit our website. So naturally increases GLP-1. We'll go more into that in a little bit. So supports that sustainable weight loss and wellness. So you're going to feel results, you're going to see results. You're going to balance those hunger hormones. And it's not just about GLP-1, it's about additional hormones as well. It's going to quiet food noise to cut down on those cravings, what people are starting to experience in the chat, and then helping to maintain blood sugar levels already within a normal healthy range. So that's its mechanism of action that it's working to be able to balance those cravings so that you are in control. So going into what makes us unique, because some things you're going to see as you look at those other activators, you will see claims such as may help support. You may see even natural, like you may see activates GLP-1, but it stops there. You see no percentage. You see no study that proves it. You see at most singular activation. So from the start, which you'll see on the next slide, we are already superior just through the way we are approaching activation. And then we're going to go farther to even prove how we work besides just saying it and putting it on a website. So the first thing we talk about is dual activation. And so what we mean by dual activation, two products exist to activate GLP-1 in two complementary and synergistic manners. So we have our MB Core, which directly activates GLP-1 pathway in cells. It has 8 ingredients, which I will go, well, 8 ingredients plus chromium that will directly activate GLP-1 in L cells, which are the cells that produce GLP-1 down in your gut, and specifically in your colon. There's some in your small intestine, but the colon is the focus. And then we have our MB Enhance, which indirectly activates GLP-1 by optimizing that gut microbiome to create short-chain fatty acids that fuel GLP-1 production. Because with hormones, not only do you want to activate their production, but you want to ensure the environment is ripe for enhanced production. Otherwise, you're only approaching one side of the equation. You're not looking at all the angles you need to look at to get the benefit that you need to actually experience change. And so by us having this dual activation approach, we are ensuring optimized activation, both through your gut and through this direct activation of your L cells. And that's why we see such amazing results that we'll be talking about in a minute. So looking at those ingredients, let me change my next slide. Here we go. MB Core. And what's kind of funny is if you were at our event on Friday, I know people were trying to, I had a slide where some of these were showing up and everyone was like, as I'm talking, everyone, because it was animation that was going through pretty fast and everyone kept raising their phone to try to take pictures. But here's your chance to get a very clear picture of the MB Core ingredients. We have lemon bioflavonoids, chromium, berberine, hesperidin, acacia, matcha, eggplant, yerba mate, honeysuckle. Something to note with some of these ingredients, matcha and whatnot, caffeine, no added caffeine, no caffeine content that you can measure within this product. So if you're worried about caffeine, no concerns with this product whatsoever. Each of these ingredients directly activate GLP-1 production through their own mechanism of action. So even within our direct activation arm of our dual activation, we have additional synergies coming into play to be able to optimize that direct activation. Moving to our second product, we have our MB Enhance. And so here we have a combination of different resistant starches and fibers. So we have potato starch and tapioca fiber and kombucha and some of these other ingredients that feed the right bacteria in your colon, specifically bacteria such as Akkermansia, that then produce the right chemicals to be able to activate GLP-1 production and enhance GLP-1 production. Now, what's incredibly important about the forms of these ingredients, you see the word resistant here. The reason we use resistant is it's resistant to digestion because a lot of other fibers will get digested earlier in your digestive process. But as I mentioned, GLP-1 is produced in the colon by those L cells that are specifically there. If the ingredients do not get down there, the microbiome does not get fed. And so we had to ensure that we had the right ingredients that get to the right place to feed the right bacteria to be able to enhance GLP-1 production. So once again, you see the intricacy of the formulations of these two products that my team went through, because I have two different team members and each was laser focused on one of the products, and then they come together to talk about the synergies, but they became deeply obsessed with creating these amazing products that worked through these different mechanisms of action. And having the correct form of ingredients was part of the first steps as they were developing the products. So dual activation, two products working through two different mechanisms to activate GLP-1 in a synergistic manner. Now, not only do we dual activate, we also amplify in two different ways. And this is pretty simple. GLP-1, to be able to work, it's a hormone, it needs to bind to a receptor. If you create more GLP-1, but you don't have enough receptors, you don't have enhanced GLP-1 function. So that's one thing you need to address to holistically address GLP-1 function. Second, there's an enzyme DPP4, which breaks down GLP-1, and it tends to increase as you age and face all these other factors. So you have less GLP-1 floating around, and it's getting broken down prior to binding to its receptors and having its intended effects. So you end up with overall less GLP-1 functionality. So if we want to amplify the GLP-1 that we have synergistically activated, we need to both activate the production of GLP-1 receptors, and we need to decrease the enzyme that breaks down GLP-1. And that's exactly what we saw in our in vitro study. So I'm going to walk us through some of the steps of our in vitro study so you can see how we approached development of this product and how it really activates all of the key parts of the pathway in an incredibly comprehensive manner, which explains, once again, the results that we've seen later on in our human clinical. So starting with our in vitro study, and just to plug before I get too far, I'm pulling this directly from our science resource page. We typically have not done this in the past, but for my sanity and my team's sanity, we wanted to put all of our brain power into a page that you could access. So most of your burning questions could be answered just by visiting this page, and you'd always have the clinical study write-ups at your fingertips. And if you have those folks that want to dive a little deeper, you don't need to know all the information top of hand or top of your mind. It is fine. We have this resource for you. So you can access it right from the web page for MindBody. You kind of see where the clinical results are, and there's a learn more about the science here, and you just click there and it brings up a new web page. I even have a video that literally walks through all these results too. It's about 7 minutes long. So if someone does want to dive in and they're a little bit more maybe audio learning, that would be a great way as well, and visual. So looking at the in vitro study, we specifically did it in L cells that are found in the colon, and we looked at the combination of the system. And so one of the things that made us incredibly excited from the get-go was we saw that there was a 54% increase in GLP-1 production. Now, I know you've seen another number floating around, so don't get confused. This was step one of our process. We need to make sure that in cell studies, our ingredients activated GLP-1, because GLP-1 is such a new target that there's not a lot of data out there about ingredients. So we were picking ingredients that we thought had the right mechanism of action based on the research available. Well, we had to do our own to prove it out. So this was step one, to determine in cells, in culture, do we increase GLP-1 production? And the answer was yes. And the image you see down here below is just it's an immunofluorescence that shows GLP-1 production. So you can see the more green on the right-hand image that shows with the MB system, we've increased GLP-1 significantly. So if you're a more visual person, that's kind of a nice representation of that. But we didn't stop there. We wanted to understand all the genes involved in GLP-1 production, and that's where my next slide comes in. So little GLP-1 biology 101 real quick. You're going to see claims out there saying, we activate the gene that we activate GLP-1 gene activity. There is not a gene for GLP-1, just know that. So if you hear that, then they don't know what they're talking about. I've seen several brands mention that, because it is not encoded for by a gene. There is a larger peptide, proglucagon, that is encoded for by a gene, and it's GCG. Then that larger peptide needs to be broken down into smaller active peptides by an enzyme, and that's where active GLP-1 comes from. So in order to increase your GLP-1, you need to increase more of this larger peptide. So the genes you actually do want to increase that actually do exist are GCG and this PCSK1. The GCG, which we increased by 95%, encodes for proglucagon. And then this PCSK1 that encodes for the enzyme that breaks proglucagon into active GLP-1, and we increased it by 32%. So the two key genes leading to GLP-1 production we increased, which makes sense when we saw our GLP-1 production. But then not only that, we looked at the amplification part, and we saw that there was a 53% increase activation of that GLP-1R gene. So that encodes for the receptor that GLP-1 binds to. So more activity of this gene increased by 53%, which is incredible. More receptors, more functionality. And then on the converse side, we saw a decrease in DPP4 by 38%, which means less of the enzyme that'll break GLP-1 down. So dual activation to have this synergistic GLP-1 production that we saw in our in vitro study and later confirmed in our human clinical. And then dual amplifications of boosting activity in two ways, increasing those receptors, decreasing that enzyme that breaks GLP-1 down. So we were already like over the moon from these in vitro results, because what we saw was synergy, because both products on their own did activate these genes, but together, these are the results that we saw, which was phenomenal. So you saw the need for both products, which was incredibly important, because we didn't want to, if only one worked, then we would only sell that one product. We weren't going to just add another one just for kicks and giggles. We wanted to make sure that the system we sold you was the right system. And this showed that it was the right system. But what we knew is that we could not stop here. There needed to be a human clinical. There needed to be results in people. And one of the targets we specifically wanted to look at was GLP-1 production in humans, because we could see it in the cells, but we wanted to ensure that people would actually experience the increase. And so we went into our human clinical. Once again, all the info on our science page. There's a lot of information, so let's kind of bounce around this page real quick. We'll start here. So it's a 12-week clinical study. There were 60 individuals. 10 were not on product and did not have any diet and exercise instructions. And then on the other side, we had 50 more left, 25 and 25. 25 just used product and we told them nothing else. 25 used product and had light diet and exercise suggestions. What you will see with these numbers is what we saw between the two groups of 25 was really no difference. So we just are attributing that to the product, because regardless of what they were adding to their regimen, they were seeing these amazing results. And not to say you should not be adding diet and exercise, because we also saw a nice improvement in how they were feeling when they added the diet and exercise, which makes perfect sense. So they felt more in control. They felt more in control of their cravings. They had reduced cravings. All these things you see down here were higher in the group that had diet and exercise. So there is an incredible benefit to having that. But we did see, as far as weight, that the products were really carrying the load through their gut-brain axis mechanism. So as I said, 60 people, 12 weeks. We saw only a couple people drop out. We were actually expecting about 10 or so to drop out, which is why we over-recruited for what we were looking for. And the only people who dropped out were for other circumstances, nothing to do with our product, which is incredible for a 12-week study. And even after the study was done, I was in the back room waiting for some of the final results. And I heard people in the waiting room. I heard some people in the waiting room saying, where can I get this product? It's been life-changing. So we heard a lot of those comments, which was incredible to hear, because they know nothing about us. They knew nothing about activation. They're not activated. And they were just experiencing this from products alone. So can you imagine what activation will do? And we saw a lot of that with Club 55. So I want to mention, because I know there's been a lot of questions, this group is all non-activated, because that's the best way we have to control it. And we haven't looked specifically in activated population beyond just the trial of the 55 individuals who were activated. And we did see nice accelerated results in them, and in both in time and in the different results that we saw, which makes sense based on that baseline of activation that they already had. Now, going into some of the results, one of the ones that we were dancing about, literally, I was so excited, was the 140% average increase in GLP-1. To be honest, I expected it to be lower than the 54%. That's sometimes how it goes with these kind of studies. Like, it looks really good in cells, and then it does really well in humans, but it's lower. So when I saw this on average, I was like, oh goodness, we've got something amazing. And so we were dancing around, literally, because this is such a, it really proves how our product works and that it does work in people just as we thought it did. So that was a real big validation for us. Now, going into some of the other physical traits that we see here, we see the up to 5% total body fat percentage loss. We see the up to 27% visceral fat loss, which is incredible. But the one that I got incredibly excited about was this 100% who lost weight did not lose muscle, which is a problem that you see with some of the synthetic options, because people are just losing weight, but they're losing a lot of muscle and they're just getting so unhealthy. And so we wanted to ensure, unless they're under very specific doctor care, because I know I've talked with Dr. Melody Rodardi, who's on our SAB, and sometimes she has to use them in her practice for certain individuals, and she loves them and knows them and cares for them and ensures they have everything they need to maintain muscle mass as much as they can. But there's a lot of work that you have to do to ensure that. And ours 100% did not lose, who lost weight did not lose muscle, which is incredible and such a differentiator. No one else is being able to say this whatsoever. And then we saw our average weight loss of up to 9 pounds in 8 weeks, and then up to 25 pounds in 12 weeks. And the average weight loss was 9, not up to 9, it was 9 pounds, which is phenomenal.
So Lisa, can I just interrupt super quick? Because I was so excited when I saw some of this. Prior to it, you guys don't have to do all the things that I did, but I did go and had a scan done prior to being activated with GLP-1 Mind Body. And then Thursday on the way up to Kansas City that morning, I did get my blood work done and then also my scan done as well. And what it showed was my visceral fat, I have to do the numbers, so I'll do them before we get off. My visceral fat numbers had dropped significantly, which was so exciting.
Now where you going?
Because that's the naughty stuff, right? That we want to get rid of. And my muscle mass increased, you guys. So everything like that they were putting up on the screens and everything that we're seeing here matches almost identically to what I've been experiencing. And that is just so, so exciting. And as an aging lady, I'm going to be 47 in December. Muscle is like the most focused thing that I have right now outside of my cellular health and all of that. So sorry, I just had to share that because it's so
I appreciate the experience because it goes right along what we were seeing. It's just phenomenal because that is something that people are very scared about, because muscle is so important to overall health, and they don't want to do the approach of the old school approach where you lose, like the heroin chic, we lose weight as much as we can to look as thin and unhealthy as possible. And that's what's beautiful. Strong is beautiful. Michelle mentioned it earlier, and that involves maintaining and gaining muscle mass as desired. And this helps support that, which is incredible. The other thing I want to focus on is some of these subjective results, because that's also incredibly important. We saw 82% took back control of their relationship with food. 95% had decreased sugar cravings. You guys are experiencing this who are on the product. 96% chose smaller portions. They didn't just stop eating the food that their family's eating. They were able to make better decisions with the amount on their plate, so they could still participate, which is incredibly important to me. 85% felt less hungry. 90% ate less at meals. And then I love this one. 85% now eat for health instead of emotions. So they are looking at this as fueling their body, fueling their health, instead of, oh my goodness, I've had a horrible day and I need my tub of ice cream, or I'm super stressed, I need all my snacks or my soda or whatever I have around me so I can get through this. They didn't have that noise cutting into their life. And I think one of the things I keep hearing from people in the product, and I've experienced it myself, is I don't think you realize how much noise you have in your head until it's gone. Because some people are like, oh, I don't deal with food noise. I don't deal with any of this. And then they take the product and they're like, oh, it's so much quieter than it used to be. I now have more room in my brain for everything. Like, I have that type of brain. I'm ADHD. I bounce from thing to thing all the time. That's how I am able to do my job. I'm constantly thinking through everything. I don't need extra noise in my brain. There's enough noise happening there. I need to focus on the things that matter, and this allows me to focus on the things that matter. And so I'm not eating lunch and immediately thinking about what's for dinner, or worrying about what's for dinner, or worrying about, oh, there's gonna be this function with food. What am I gonna do? That calms and that erases so that you can focus on what matters, which is incredibly important. And so next on the, we have some of the before and afters from the clinical that are included in the write-up. This fellow right here lost a significant amount of weight. Every single parameter that we saw, he lost significantly. It was phenomenal. Like, you can't even recognize him even more. And then this is another example of a lady that you can just see how her stomach has just changed in shape, and she's changing her composition, and she saw significant improvements as well. And we just kept seeing picture after picture and testimonial after testimonial in their information as they were filling out their questionnaires, just talking about how this had changed both their relationship with food and just how they were feeling about their physical transformation as well. And I want to also point out that this was mirrored in some of the Club 55 before and afters. So here are just a couple that we have showed up on screen. Here's baseline in 3 weeks. And then Shauna, this is like one of the early ones she shared. She sent me a video today where she is now lost, she's down 20 pounds. It's phenomenal, and even more inches. Like, this has been transformative for her. She was holding on to me as we were walking back from the convention on Saturday, and just her sweetness and her joy was just shining through. She's such a lovely soul, but you could just see freedom from what she had experienced prior. And it just really just set her free so she could have this lightheartedness. And she is just such a testimony for exactly what we wanted this product to do. We wanted it to start first with this transformation of the relationship with food and this health, and then weight and all these other parameters come alongside with that health. It's not necessarily the only focus, but it's part of this health transformation. And then it puts it in the right priority. We're not just focused 100% on looks, because that's not all that matters. We care about having health. We care about having the quality of life that we need to be able to enjoy it with our family, to be able to travel as we're older. We want to be able to do the things we want to do with the people we love. And this helps support that, which is incredible. And it makes it something that everyone needs to be on. So that's all the slides that I have, just kind of summarizing everything else. But Michelle, I'm glad to jump into anything more. I didn't want to prepare too much and overwhelm everything, because there's so much to talk about with this product.
It's just so exciting. I know when I got to look into you and Julie's eyeballs and some others, when the human clinical results were in, and just the wow and the chill factor and
So
just the excitement for each and every one of you in the world. It was just like, you guys, this is their baby, and this is truly going to impact thousands upon thousands upon thousands of people. And we are just so richly grateful for all of your work. And again, we were sending little videos to corporate today, and last night, just in gratitude of everything that they've done. So just everybody, let's throw the love back in here. And I see that Christina is here as well. I don't know if I can pull her on here for just a quick second. Christina, if you'd be open to just me asking one question. Christina has been with LifeVantage, I don't know for how long. She is like this quiet powerhouse, like behind the scenes woman that creates magic. And I say that with everything in me. She is just a beautiful soul. And I say she's quiet, but she's really funny. She's super funny.
You just
Thanks,
want
Michelle. I've been around for 7 years.
7 years. So, Christina, again, everybody, please pour love and gratitude. A round of applause for Miss Christina here because her mind blows my mind. She's genius and she works so hard and she digs in to science all the time. Christina, if I were to ask you, what are you most excited about regarding this beautiful product? What would you have to say?
Oh, it's not just losing the weight and getting all that in balance, but it's so much more. It's there for your heart health, for everything in your body. It's not just, yeah, we all want to lose 5, 10 pounds or maybe 30, 40 pounds, but it's the long-term effect of this product when everything just, you talk to the brain, your brain fog may disappear, all that stuff. So, that's my biggest thing.
Is the whole body, and that is the heart of the company. Again, you guys, it's the whole shebang. And I will tell you, and those of you that have been along for our journey on this, my brain has been the thing that I've been most focused on through my journey of health. And I am just so grateful that my brain has been on fire since I started this, literally. It's crazy. So reading those comments, it's fun to see how everybody is feeling, like getting stuff done, knowing what's happening next. And I remember Dawn Bursch and I were sharing like, oh my gosh, is this what we should always be feeling like? That we just didn't know that we should be feeling this way. So it's another layering of health and joy, and just whole body care. So thank you so much for all of your work as well. There are so many people out there that are just so grateful. Shampoo?
Yeah, I was just going to add in, I know there's some guests on here tonight that haven't either been a part of the company before or are considering, activating their bodies. Just get back with the person that invited you to look the information up, and they can help get you started. My suggestion is don't delay. There was a lot of planning on the back end of this product, and we anticipated it to be a very, very demanded product. However, what has happened over the last 3 days has blown away the projections. So you don't want to be caught where you want the product and you weren't able to receive it right away. Right now, when you order, you will receive the product very, very quickly. But that won't necessarily be the case in a week from now or even several days from now. So do yourself the favor. If you know that you want the product, get back right away with the person that invited you so that they can help get you set up and you can start activating the GLP-1 in your body.
Yes, and with that being said, we want everybody to know, I know we've been raving about corporate and it's just, you guys, we work with them 24/7 basically. And as partners, I'm super grateful. For those that weren't at the event, or if you're watching here live, the numbers that came in, as Sean said, went way beyond their huge forecasts. And so just so you know, like we were up working with corporate up at like 2 a.m. Sean and I were, talking with them, and then we're up out of the room at 6 a.m. to go meet with different people. Our CEO was calling up people to work on ingredients, and they had a semi truck or whatever leave to bring more product that night, to drive through the night to get to the event so people could get it. That's the type of company that we have. They're here to support and lean in and do every single thing that they can. So while this is going on, they are doing everything in their power to ensure they are able to get you guys the products as quickly as possible, and how they need to come, and those quality control standards, you guys, through the roof. I know Dr. Sveta, when she was looking at all this, she was so excited about the clean products. So as we close out, I just had one last little thing in our head. So thank you for all of your time. We have a lot of new people that have never heard necessarily about activation. And so we don't need to go into all of that. However, I do know those of us that understand what Protandim NRF2 is and how important that is. I've seen a lot of questions, should I be taking this, Protandim NRF2 and some of the other ones as well, but as like the base. As you said, you don't have to, the results were there, but can you just touch on the why behind it would be such a great thing if it works for them? I've always said, if I could pay for everybody on the planet to be on Protandim, I would. I've never missed a day in 13 and a half years.
We
So
call that one
share?
the non-negotiable. So
Yes.
NRF2 is non-negotiable because not a lot of people understand oxidative stress, but we all face it. We live in a world where we're constantly in bombardment. The food we eat, the environment we live in, everything is coming to increase the stress, and our body's natural protection, our antioxidants, decreases as we age. So it's the wrong equation. What's going up shouldn't be, and what's going down shouldn't be. And so Protandim NRF2, you take it to make your body's own natural antioxidants, and those antioxidants are more than 1 million times more powerful than any antioxidant you could take. And so you could spend all this money on these different supplements that will just act as a Band-Aid. They will not actually work with your body's natural processes. They're just going to replenish something that's depleted. Or you could take Protandim NRF2 Synergizer. You can make your own antioxidants by working with your body's natural processes. It's a long-term solution to health versus a Band-Aid. And then if you even add in our collagen on top of that,
Yes.
our collagen and our NRF2 have their own synergies together as well. They help to break cellular stress cycles because our cells are just like us. When we face too much stress, we're kind of just surviving and not thriving. So they're not being able to work optimally like they should. But when you use both of those products together, you break that cellular stress cycle so that your cells can do the functions they were created to do in the way they were supposed to do it. So you're optimizing your body to perform the way that it was made to be able to perform. And that's what it comes to. Activation, we can make it super complicated, but it's take it to make it. You take LifeVantage products to make the things your body needs for health. And so that's the simplest way I can explain it. So if you take these products and you combine it with mind body, you're breaking the cellular stress cycle, and your cells aren't having to worry about that. Like, how is it going to respond if it's losing weight? It's not having to deal with this other stress. It can focus on what you're wanting mind body to do. So you see that acceleration of results. So really, if you add those in, they're not kind of non-negotiables, and they're going to pair beautifully with mind body because they're just going to help it work better.
Janet just put in the chat, mic drop. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you. And Monique said she loves the simple explanations. So Christina and Lisa, thank you so much for pouring into all of us tonight, to teaching this. I am in awe. I'm truly in awe of what is happening. And I always, for 13 and a half years, I remember when I first learned about this company, I was trying to poke holes in it and disprove everything. And I'm like, oh, okay, it's in PubMed, you can't disprove that. And then finding the people and finding that. And 13 and a half years now into this, I can tell you I am more excited today. And it seems like we say this every year, we're more excited today than when we first got started. And the mission is so great. So thank you for just making this blessing occur for all of us. We are so grateful. And I just want to say too, for those of you that are on right now as consultants, we would love if you're able to just hold on for a second. We want to chat with you guys for a few minutes. We'll stop the recording and stop the sharing, but we'll let Christina and Miss Lisa go. But anything else, Sean, before we head off?
Nope, we're good.
We're good.
Thank you, guys.
All right. Any closing remarks for you, Lisa?
I think I just want to reiterate what you're saying, Michelle. I'm another skeptical person that did a lot of research before I came to LifeVantage, and it's exceeded all of my expectations. And we are just in a different era. This is one of those, it feels like once in a lifetime opportunities. I feel it in my career. I just feel the momentum like I've never felt it before anywhere else. And so I've just like, this is your opportunity. We've created this phenomenal product that's going to change lives, but it won't change lives unless you tell people about it. And so Like the biggest thank you that you can give me and Christina and the rest of the team is to share this product and get more people on it so that they can experience the results. So I know you guys will do it, and I'm excited to see the results and just see how this thing will continue to just ignite to that next level.
Beautiful. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you. All right, everybody. Give them a round of applause. And then if you guys can all hang on here for a sec while we finish up. But Christina and Julie, you guys go take an Epsom bath tonight or do something beautiful for you because you deserve it. Something quiet.
Oh, will do.